Hey, everybody, welcome back to another round of the Codex Station's Slab Show. Usually, in this Slab Show, we talk about the what to's, the how to's, the what not to do's, and what to sell and how to sell. But today, we're going to cover something a more serious topic. We're going to talk about the CG scandal that's going on right now. And as Wes pointed out earlier, unless you've been living under a rock, you know what's going on. But as always, with me are my usual partners in crime. But this is a little different. To the right of me, or to the left of me, is Wes Rebel Scum. And
Hello,
down
everybody.
Tim the Terrible. How you guys
How's it
doing?
going? Very good.
Good.
Not so good with CGC though, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, a little scary there with CGC. So
Yeah.
Tim, why don't you go ahead and give us the rundown. Let's do a quick overview of
Okay.
what's going on, and then we can dig into the nitty gritty.
So the best way to do that is for me to share the old screen here. Don't worry about all that stuff, but look at this. So this is from comicbook.com, and this was written by Russ Burlingame. This came out December 28th of 2023. So by the time this episode comes out, it'll already be, well, no, it'll only be a couple days after this. But I'm not going to read the whole thing. This bit right here kind of gives you a brief overview. And here is CGC's response, which we'll get into in a minute. But what I really want to get into is this right here that gives you a real good rundown of exactly what happened. So let me go over this with you guys. So as the article states, it says the controversy started earlier this month when Instagram comics influencer, the 9.9 newsstand, check him out if you haven't. He's got great information on this.
Oh yeah,
much
absolutely.
deeper. Yeah, much deeper than what the article goes into. But anyways, it says he discovered an apparent discrepancy involving a high-grade copy of The Amazing Spider-Man number 252. Now, that issue sold for over $15,000, and it was marked as a 9.8 graded Mark Jewelers newsstand variant. So already there's a bunch of red flags right there. What 9.9 newsstand noticed was that the book certificate number was tied to a 9.8, but not that Mark Jewelers variant, but just a regular newsstand. Now, the rarity of the Mark Jewelers was a big part of what drove the price up so high, and that is incredibly accurate. Just for a point of reference, and you can elaborate on this a little more too, the Mark Jewelers variants are incredibly difficult to find, and especially difficult to find in high grade.
They really truly are. Yep.
Yeah, and a 9.8 is like a unicorn. They are almost impossible. But
So, Tim,
anyways, yeah.
Let me interrupt you really quick. Now,
Yeah, go ahead.
for when you were saying you tied that serial number, you can actually go to CGC and punch in the serial number and look up the actual book and see it there. So that's what he's meaning by tying the serial numbers to a different book.
And see, that goes into the whole reason why CGC has a census too. So every serial number right here on these books, I know I'm in a little screen right now, but every serial number here shows exactly, it's the unique identifier number for the book, right?
Correct.
And you can go into their census and look it up based off the serial number. But anyways, excuse me. After the article continues, after some digging, 9.9 newsstand suggested that it was likely somebody had found a way to replace the 9.8 newsstand with a lower graded Mark Jewelers newsstand and then resubmit it to CGC in order to artificially create a 9.8 Mark Jewelers. Now, at the end of the day, the seller could sell the book for a lot more money, hence the $15,000 price tag, and still have a 9.8 sitting at home that they could then resubmit and have regraded under a new serial number. Now, this is where it goes even deeper. So the Amazing Spider-Man 252 was the first book discovered. This is the next one. Shortly thereafter, YouTuber Automatic Comics and other YouTubers too started figuring things out. He found a CGC graded copy of the Incredible Hulk number 181 that appeared to have been reholdered. Yeah. Now, whereas the Spider-Man book looked suspicious, Automatic Comics was able to actually track down the specific copies of Hulk that he believed were involved. Now, watch the video, guys. It's easy to find. Just look for Automatic Comics. It's one of his top viewed videos, most popular. And he shows you exactly what he went through and how he came up with the evidence that he came up with. Now, what this did was it led to a flood of new findings by other comic book creators, speculators, and YouTubers. And the eBay account responsible for the Hulk sale was quickly shut down after being flooded with bad feedback and refund requests. The
Hmm.
video right there, you can find it, CGC Reholder Scam. Now, the scam has been detected and is easily noticeable in that it requires a lot of upfront capital. So you have to have 2 high-graded copies of a sought-after book like ASM 252 or Incredible Hulk 181 in order to make this work. And still, 9.8 Newsstand says it's something that could snowball quickly if not caught, which it did, because CGC, in their response, which we'll get to in a second, says that there are hundreds of books affected by this. Now, in a quote, it says it depends on how quickly you turn around each scam book. Automatic told, or 9.8 Newsstand told comicbook.com, because you can invest $5,000, turn it into 20, be freed up to do it times 4 on the next go around, and the capital increase adds up quite quickly if you move fast. Yeah, so your major return on BS. Now,
Yeah.
specific verbiage of the response,
People suck, man.
they do. And
Yeah.
People really suck sometimes, man.
so let's go ahead and go into the CGC comic statement. And this is right here on the CGC forums. And I'm going to show you
Mhm.
something else also after I read this statement. This is from CC Mike, one of the administrators and a representative of CGC. And this is what it says: CGC and CGC comic statement on holder tampering incident. The Certified Collectibles Group, CGC, is aware of an incident involving an individual tampering with CGC Comics holders. Based on our initial review, we believe that the incident affects a few hundred books,
Wow.
more than 100, less than 1,000. CGC exists to protect the collecting community, and in the last 36 years, we have certified more than 85 million collectibles, each one backed by a comprehensive guarantee. The trust that we've built with our company sometimes makes us a target of bad actors, and despite our vigilance, this individual tampered with some of our holders. Now, we're going to get into that specific wording here in a second,
Yeah.
too. If you purchased one of the books that this individual tampered with, we will ensure that you are appropriately compensated for losses arising from any failures in our services. We'll talk about that also. We expect to share a list of books that we believe are impacted as soon as possible. We have also retained a leading private investigative service, maybe the Pinkertons, and outside counsel to conduct a comprehensive review of this incident and our processes, and to help ensure that this individual is held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. We have already made significant improvements to our processes as a result of this incident and will continue to take appropriate steps to help ensure that this type of incident does not happen again. And then it goes on to state that we expect to share more information when we have it. In the meantime, if you have any questions or would like to share any information with CGC, reach out to them at reportfraud@collectiblesgroup.com. And that will be down at the bottom as you're watching this right now, if you feel like you have been a victim of something like this. Now, right here, the last thing I'm going to show is the comics general section of the chat forum, right? Take a look at this. So you've got your pinned posts, and then you go right on down here. The ASM 252 thread here, and then tampering, inner well not completely sealed. The top 3 threads are all about this, and these are updated by the minute, guys. And there's a ton more of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, go ahead, Wes. I want to
Yeah,
get your
yeah.
guys'
Wes,
thoughts on
yeah.
this before
When-
we
Go
dive
ahead,
deep.
Wes.
You know, as a slabber, this, obviously I was upset when this started coming out. I was like, oh, okay, well maybe it's just a, or maybe it's just a couple hundred or hundreds of books. I mean, that sucks. That really sucks. But while doing some of the research for this episode tonight, I did come across, there's a guy on YouTube. It's I'll go ahead and give him a shout out because he did a great video. It's Immaculate Comics, so go check him out. He actually demonstrated how they probably actually did it.
I think I've seen this one too. Is that with the heat gun?
And
with the heat gun, and then
and
some
that's
kind
been
of epoxy
viewed by 20+ thousand people.
And now it's a lot easier to do with the older slabs than it is these slabs, but it's still, or the newer stuff, but you could still do it if you're very careful, and eventually you get really good at it, and you can really turn these things out quickly if you're really motivated, which this individual was. I don't know if I believe it's one person, but time will tell, right? So you catch one of them and guarantee he's going to roll on the others. It's just the way it's the way it is. They're cowards, and they all are. They're all cowards. So, but anyways, so I just wanted to throw that out there. If you guys are interested in doing that or seeing how this guy did it. So with that video, it shows the ease in which these things can be tampered with, really, if you have the patience. So CGC is going to have to come out now with some sort of tamper-proof case. The cases are going to have to be modified. They're going to have to do something in the future to maintain that trust or to gain the trust back. Because now, if you think about it, and I hate to even say this, but every slab out there right now, there's at least a small question mark on everything now. Now I don't know how far. Now I don't know how far back this goes. I don't. And I know a lot of them were mainly bigger books.
Yeah,
so
they were big key books.
Yeah, so you're not going to be able to pull out. It's not going to be like some just random. Like even the stuff you see there, that's not big enough for what they were doing. That's not even remotely close.
Now, on that guy's YouTube or eBay page, which had been shown in other videos, and you can find that on YouTube anywheres, that New Mutants 98 was on that list. The Mark Jewelers was in there.
Oh, yeah.
But that goes into the. Now we're doing some speculating here, guys, so that needs to be said. But that goes into the wording of what CGC said about an individual. All three of us agree that it has to be more than one. Sal, dive a little bit deeper into that.
So when I was looking at this or reading or doing my research on it, it just seems overly complicated for one person to be in on this and have this go through, because I would have to assume that CGC has some extra checks, especially with books that are coming back in for reholdering type situation, and I don't know. I mean, I can't honestly say for sure, but this person or individual that's doing this also has to have a mad supply of these huge key books, to have them
like a comic store who was sending in things for a proxy for other people.
Could be. It could be like, I just got a Amazing Spider-Man 300 Mark Jewelers variant with newsstand. I'm gonna put that here, and I'm gonna insert this other one that looks similar to it and send that off to be great.
But see, if you don't know what you're looking for and you look in them slabs, the only way to really tell is to take the book out. Unless you're good enough as a collector, which I think the three of us are, where we can see the difference in paper quality that's used for the Mark Jewelers inserts.
But some of the Mark Jewelers inserts are not that cardstock. Some of them aren't.
Yeah, well, there you go.
And I have discovered that in some of the collections that I've been buying, and every now and then I'll thumb through and like,
see it, and that just makes it even,
right. But for guys like us that are sending books in and stuff like that, we know our books pretty damn well. We're looking at our books and we're like, I know this corner over here has got a little flag that's gonna knock me down a grade, but I'm okay with that. But all of a sudden it comes back and that little flag there's not there. It sends up a red flag for you.
And that's always that's another good point, Sal. And that's a good point to always, and I have failed in this. Take pictures of your stuff before you send it in. And that's not just for the scandal thing. That's also for if damage occurs. Like, no. That damage wasn't there. Now that's a separate thing from the scandal, but it's always a good idea to do that. But another thing that CGC recently started doing, not only did they now make public the grader's notes, so that helps people in this particular situation, especially when trying to track something down or to see, wait a second, that said that had, blank on it, but that's not on this book, or that's
Right.
on this book, but it wasn't on,
It
or,
wasn't
and
on
now
my book.
also, and yeah, exactly. And now they also do imaging.
Well, see,
So
and the thing is too,
that's
is you
good for
can,
a buyer.
yeah,
Right.
and you can take those serial numbers and you can look through the sale history of those books too. And that's how
Well,
this was discovered.
it doesn't help with person-to-person sales
Right.
or
But
like
if it's
Facebook
registered,
Marketplace stuff. But yeah,
yeah. Yeah, if it's a
But I think,
registered sale.
yep. But I think taking pictures of your books before you're sending them off is actually a very good idea, and I have done that in the past with my books. But I've had some slabs come back, and I could shake it, and that inner wall or that inner sleeve is loose.
Yeah,
And I didn't think anything of it. I just thought maybe, oh, that's just poor packaging, and stuff like that. But back to I want to back up a little bit.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. That's okay. We divulge on good points, and that's all fine.
Mhm.
The point I was trying to make is this guy or these guys or whatever group this is, if it's an individual or if it's 2 or 3 people, they're obviously going after key high dollar books because they're trying to make the maximum profit as much as possible. So why I can understand that maybe this little foil reprint of this Amazing Spider-Man 300, it has a little red flags of being sus, to it. I'm 99% sure that this book was not affected. Because I know that this is not a high dollar book.
Now that was actually probably their downfall, doing those big books. If they
Right,
had done
right.
if they had done the $200, $300, $400 books,
See,
it's a good chance.
now I think that with the beginning of this, however it happened, I think that may have been what they did, was they took some lower dollar books to test and see what would happen. But once they figured out, like after 2, 3, 4 times, it worked every single time, then they got a little egotistical and started doing these bigger books.
Big books.
Yeah.
The big boy
So,
books.
100%.
so that takes me into the last point that I want to make, and where it talks about in CGC's response, where they say that they are going to go and recoup damages. And let me reread that.
Okay.
So
and before you do, I would like each of us to recap what we think, how CGC can make amends or build that trust back. So go ahead and read that, and each of us will go through that. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So right here, if you purchased one of right here in the center, guys, this one right here, if you purchased one of the books that this individual tampered with, we will ensure that you are appropriately compensated for losses arising from any failures in our service. So with that, let me ask you this. Is failure in their service somebody purchasing that ASM 9.8 Mark Jewelers for $15,000 when it was actually not that? It was a lower grade book, say at around a $4,000 price tag. Is CGC going to recoup that $11,000 cost? Is that what they mean, or what do they mean?
I think what they're more targeting at, Tim, for this is the user that had sent in that book, paid the money for this book to be graded and slabbed, and they're not getting that book back. So they got to compensate them for the value of that other book. Now,
I see.
As far as someone buying it, I don't know.
Because they're going to have to have proof of purchase. They're going to have there's going to be all kinds of things. Now, for me, it better be that though, because, and I feel like CGC right now, they're trying. Okay,
they are.
It feels like they are, and they know they're in
significant strides in a short amount of time. Yeah.
They're in mode, and so we'll see. And a lot of things we will see, and God forbid they find this person or people, and someone is associated with CGC. Let's not even talk about that. At that point, then we're going to have a real issue, and that's going to suck because I love CGC.
But let's talk about that. How would that affect what we do, Wes? You and I, would that affect sending books in?
I think
that would affect me 100%.
Yeah, it would. I think it would all depend on what safeguards they implemented. from there on out. And let's say they came up with a new tamper-proof slab. No matter what happens, it's 99.9999
seals on the side,
something that's gonna be whatever they come up with. And then maybe I don't know. They'd have to come up with a couple things. And if they did officially recoup everybody, and I mean recoup them, not just the original, whatever, like the the $15,000 book, and he's out 10 grand. It's like, well, we're gonna do our best to. It's gonna have to be big, and I think they know that. I think, and I think you can really thank and I'm not trying to. I think you can really thank the YouTube community for that. Because it's big right now. I mean, it's all anybody's talking about. It's all. I mean, and this is going to hurt CGC really bad when they were starting to make real strides in their services and their quality assurance and
their
turnaround times and all this stuff. And CGC has that. They always have that kicker. That's and the kicker is, our stuff sells more, or for more than CBCS. So beat that CBCS. Well, if you lose that, you might lose me. Not that I'm a big deal, but you might. I mean,
no, but they're not going to lose just you. They're going to lose thousands of you. They're going to lose hundreds of thousands of you, including myself.
Right.
If this goes deeper into CGC, and there's actually people on the inside helping with this,
toast.
They are toast. I'm going to go strictly to CBCS now.
Yeah, and I hate to even say that, but it's
PGX is rubbing their hands.
Yeah.
Like this.
And I told you yesterday, Tim. I said we could discover that the CEO was in on it, and I ain't sending it to PGX. but no, and all that speculation. But I do feel that they're absolutely taking this seriously.
I agree.
I know that if I were in charge of that company right now, I would be having serious discussions with my R&D guys or whoever to figure out a slab that is impenetrable and untamperable. And then I'm going to advertise the hell out of that. I'm going to public apology. I'm going to pay these people back, and it's going to hurt their bottom line. It's going to suck.
Yeah.
And it's going to, and with these cases, it's going to hurt our bottom line too, because their prices are going to have to go up to cover for that.
So you're right about those points with the tamper-proof case. I don't think they can make it impenetrable or bulletproof as much as you would like. However, there has to be something. See, they have that hologram right here on the corner. If they could do that around the sides, just enough to where it can't be opened without ripping that.
Yeah.
If they can do that, then that would actually give a little bit more assurance that the case has not been opened.
And somebody is going to figure out how to heat it up in such a way so that the whole sticker comes off.
Yeah, maybe somehow they can put the sticker on the inside, maybe somehow. Maybe on the inside of the case. So when you pop it open, you can't help but break it. I don't know. And it's got and it's going to have a serial number that matches that.
Yeah. There's a lot that they got to do.
I'd hate to be in their late night meetings that they're surely having right now. About how we can damage control. So
Wes, you made a good point though that CGC is responding, because before they have taken their time responding to incidents, and this time, in large part because of the comic book and YouTube community, they are responding quickly, and they're giving us at least something. I'm curious to see what the list of books is that it is affected, and how long it's going to take them to compile that list and put it out. Because if they say it's hundreds of books already, then they have it. So where is it?
Yeah, that's true. So
whoever gets busted here is toast.
Dude, they're done.
I mean,
done.
That's prison time. That's fraud.
Yeah,
that's I mean, I don't even know
this
what
is
laws.
Tens of thousands of dollars. Maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars.
We're talking
depending on the number of books. Yeah.
Dude's toast.
We kind of briefly touched on points that I want to kind of coalesce those points together. And in your opinion, what do you think CGC should do to rebuild that trust? Because obviously that trust is is teetering on the edge, lost on
Mhm.
some people. And then there's of course the other people that's like, oh no, CGC is the greatest, that type of thing. So for those people that are teetering and off the edge, what do you think? Just like top 3 points, what do you think CGC should do to regain that trust? Wes, go first on that.
For me, honesty goes a long way. So as long as if they remain an open book throughout all this,
Mm-hmm.
for me, that actually goes a long way. If they start getting a little shady and like, oh no, we're going to handle this in house, it's like no. If you guys, if they walk us through their processes now of how they're going to remedy this stuff and what they found, and this is who we found did it, and even if it ends up being an inside job, as long as they're very open and honest, as they so far have been,
Yeah.
and they continue that throughout this process that could probably take months, then that's a good starting point for me.
Okay.
B would be, I'll go to Tim for his first one.
Okay.
Wes, I am right there with you. Transparency. They have to be transparent about this. I think that the one point that they're kind of faltering on with that transparency, which people have figured out anyways, is the name of the person's eBay account that is doing this. My chair is going down. But I know that
did the inside job, he's going down.
Exactly. Now I know that information is out there. We're not going to put that out on here. You can find that anywhere in any number of YouTube channels or anything like that. But Wes, I'm behind you 110%. Transparency needs to be first and foremost.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to have to echo that. The first and foremost point has to be transparency. They've got to let us know what they're doing. Let us know what they're finding. Let us know exactly what they're going to do about it. Okay. And then let us know a mitigation plan afterwards to rectify the situation.
And even if they find that they are like, hey guys, we had a mole, we had a guy. If they're honest about it, it's like, you know what?
Okay.
It probably was painful for you to admit that to us, but thank you. And that's gonna hold some weight with me. And a lot of guys, I think, a lot of people like you and me, I think so. So even now, as far as if it's painful, tell us.
Right. With that though, if there is somebody on the inside, I'm going to say an unpopular opinion that I know some people are going to get upset about. It is not CGC's job to tell us who that person working for them is.
Oh, I'm not saying dox the guy.
No. Yeah. What I'm saying is there's going to be people in the community that are going to have their pitchforks and their torches ready to go. Guys,
and CGC wouldn't do that anyways.
Right. That information will come out. Yeah, that information will come out in the public forum in due course.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So do you have another point or another idea?
Another point. Another point for me would be if I see them go all in as far as making this almost impossible to happen again. And we've already touched on a little bit, whether it be more, tamper resistant cases, more steps in their quality control that they advertise, perhaps even making things a little more difficult to submit, and I don't even like that, but it might come down to a little bit of mass punishment.
Maybe not really submit, but maybe to resubmit.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Sorry, reholder and resubmit. That kind of thing. Like, hey, now there's a process, and it's going to have to be. So let's say, right now the turnaround time if you do a reholder is like 15 to 30 days, working days, of course, but which is pretty quick. Now, if you take those reholders and say, hey, just so you know, that's going to go through a separate process to verify that this is the original book with the original label, with the original case. And it's probably going to be another 2 or 3 months before you get your book back. I'm okay with that pain because now I'm going to feel better about when I get that book back. I'm going to feel better when Joe Schmo gets his book back that was reholdered and I'm buying that book So that will help me feel better if they implement some extra processes for reholders or things like that, or even if it's like a damage case, getting it, well, I guess that'd be
Yeah.
rehold, but so or even if they do mechanical errors, make that even harder, and I hate to say it, but because it
No,
sucks,
I
because I
totally,
like having a
yeah.
15-day or a 30-day window to get stuff back, but if it
Right.
means it goes through an extra 2 or 3, 4 sets of
Stricter
eyes,
process. Yeah.
I'm okay with
Stricter
that.
process, yeah.
So extra processes and things like that. That's number 2 for me.
Okay, Tim, how about you?
So to kind of fall in line with Wes once again, I mean, they're great points, and they're points that can't be ignored. Whatever CGC does to their holders, I think that they should be transparent to a point with what they do to increase security. But I think that there should be some things on those holders that they don't tell anybody about.
Like secret watermarks and
That's
things like
right.
that. Yeah.
Something that nobody knows, and that once people figure out,
Maybe
it
something
could
slipped in the
cause
book.
it
Maybe
could cause
something.
damage to the book or something like that. I would be okay with some kind of security measure like that,
Yeah.
because there's people that do that all the time that'll cut them out and all
So
that stuff.
you're
And,
pro tracking device. You want us to be tracked, Tim.
buddy, that right
Let's get
there is a
that
tracking
microchip
device.
right
That's
here.
your
Let's
Probably.
get
RFID
that
chip.
microchip right here, baby.
Yeah,
I
there
got
you
my
go.
injection.
All the
I'm joking, I'm
Bluetooth we're
joking, I'm
using,
joking.
ladies and gentlemen, you've been
Well,
tracked since before inception. There's
oh
that.
gosh, there we go. All
But
right, tangent.
anyways,
Yeah.
Come back
I
here.
I think
Sorry.
that the security measures that they have in the future need to be such that they need to be a little more than tamper resistant. They need to be near tamper proof.
Like almost, if you're going to tamper with it, you better be working at CGC. It's going to require you to actually be working at CGC to tamper with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I got to say on that.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so yeah, I agree with those points. I would like to see a little bit more tamper-proof case. I kind of like the idea of them slipping a piece of paper into a book saying what it was graded as, because if they pull that thing out and then slip it into another slab, they could actually take that book out and say, oh, no, this was not that book as stated right here. So something, a stricter process. And I agree 100% with Weston here, even if it does take another 2 to 3 weeks or a month or whatever it is, to make sure that that is my book that is coming back, or that is the book that I'm going to buy. I'm 100% good with it. Even if they came out with a tamper-proof case and it was $30 more, I would kind of be okay with it, because I know that case is a little bit more sturdy. They can offer the old cases and say, hey, you can still get the old slab cases for whatever the slab price is, but if you really want the tamper-proof ones,
they're guaranteed, but that
only to a point.
That'd be a tough sell for a lot of people, but at the same time, I mean.
But for people that are like getting, their personal grails that are not worth a lot of money, they may opt for the lower option, because they know that, I'm never going to resell this. This is my book. I'm displaying it. It gives them an option to not price out anybody that's trying to slab or display books. So that's my second point. I don't know if I really have any third points. You got any third points with that?
My third point would probably be something, again, we've touched on, would be
I have a third point.
Getting people's, getting people's money back. Not money back, but
that's true. I'm sorry. That is a good
how
point.
far will they go to help people recoup these losses? Because it's hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially in losses. And how far do they go with that? Do they come up with something fair? Is it something that's bullcrap? Or do they take the cheap way out and hope we don't notice? Which ties in again with transparency. So I mean, that would probably be my third, and maybe some sort of, I don't know. It'd have to be a serious ad campaign for sure.
I understand where you're coming from this. I'm sorry to
no, you're good. I was done.
You're good.
I see where you're coming from, Wes, and I agree with you. But I don't necessarily need to know that they went to that person that lost $14,000 and paid them that. They could say, like, reparations have been made to the people who have lost money, blah, blah, blah. I don't need to know that Joe Schmo got $15,000 for
because that'll
ASF
come out.
book.
Yeah,
It
oh
will
yeah.
come out.
That'll
It
come out
will
on its
come out
own.
eventually. But they could say, we estimated $150,000 losses, that people had losses with this. We made reparations for $150,000 to these people.
Mhm.
I'd be like, okay, I don't need to know the
Yeah.
details of every single transaction
Right.
out there. for
No,
them,
no, I
you
don't
know?
either.
And that's
But if
why
they came-
court documents are sealed, ladies and gentlemen.
And that's
Yeah.
why court documents are
Yeah,
sealed.
and I don't
But
need
like
all
I
that
said,
either. But as long
but
as
if they
they've
came
made
out and
this
said,
solid effort,
yeah, if they came out and said X dollars was lost, X dollars was restituted to people, I'd be like, okay,
Mhm.
I feel good about that.
yeah,
So,
it seems
Tim,
fair.
go ahead with your
So my third and final point to this is prosecution to the fullest extent of the law, and that's exactly
we
what
should
it
throw that
needs
in
to
there.
be. CGC
Mhm.
is doing the right thing by making that statement, saying that they are going to prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. Let
Yep.
this be a notice, not even a lesson, but a notice to those that want to
Make an example out of these people.
Yeah, exactly. To those that
Mhm.
want to fraud, to those that want to scam, to those that want to flip without integrity and honesty. There's nothing wrong with speculation buying. There's nothing wrong with speculation selling, and there's nothing wrong with flipping, right? You can do
Yep.
all of that with honesty and integrity and make money legitimately and do your business, right? But the minute you step into the gray area, you make your way beyond normalcy, you will be caught, you will be found, and this is a prime example of that. And this person or persons definitely need to be made an example of. They need to be taken out into the middle of town square, and they need to be put in the trusses and big thing
They
put
need to
up
be
above.
slabbed.
Tar and
They need to
feather
be
them.
slabbed. They need to be
They
slabbed.
need to be slabbed. That's right, in a tamper-proof case. But
As a 0.5.
Carbonite.
the point is that it was eagle-eyed collectors
That was, man.
and
They had. I mean, that was. Yeah.
that noticed these things, and whoever was doing this thought that nobody was going to notice, and that they were using the same serial numbers. Is
I know.
come on. But
I know.
yeah,
They were getting
prosecution to
bold
the
on that.
yeah.
And think about this, guys. I mean, this is not. I mean, CGC slabs everything.
Yeah.
Collectible cards,
Cards,
magazines,
video
games,
posters,
everything.
games,
Yeah.
everything, and they're going to have to revamp all those processes.
Yep.
This is going to cost that company millions of dollars.
And they're going to
Yeah, it
take
might.
it out on the person that gets prosecuted or
Yeah,
people.
and which will eventually roll downhill to us. We'll have to be
Yeah,
paying
well.
more for our slabs, but
Yep.
I mean,
But-
it's just the way it is. So
That's how
yeah.
life. That's how life works sometimes.
Yep.
That's right.
That's-
But yeah, prosecution to the fullest extent of the law. That's my final take.
Yep.
Okay.
I agree with all you guys' points. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think they know that. I hope they know that. I hope they
I
know
think
that.
so.
Yep.
Yeah, they know that.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
All right, folks. I think we
Sure
can
they're
go ahead
watching
and
this
wrap.
channel right now.
Yeah, right now, right, just checking. Anyhow,
Yeah.
folks, I think we can wrap up this episode of the Codex Station Slabbed, episode 7 in the books, all about the CGC scandal. Please visit the Codex Station when you get a chance and give us a share, give us a follow, give us a like. There we go. Head on over to thecodexstation.com. Check out our stuff, meet the team, get some merch, and so much more. If you go to the socials, just type in at the Codex Station, and you'll find us on any streaming media right now by choosing at the Codex Station. Let's do a little. We should do our sponsor because we didn't do our sponsor. Let's go
Sounds
ahead
good
and
to
give a
me.
shout out to our sponsor, and that is W Energy. So head on over to w.gg and use the code X at checkout, and you can save 10% on that order. It's a good, clean energy drink, and there's no jitters, there's no post-after crash, there's no sugar drop with that. It's a good, clean energy drink, and you should check it out. So head on over to WGG, save 10% on the order, and use the code X.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you
Excellent.
guys once again for joining me, Tim. Thank you, Wes. As
Thanks, guys.
always, I value you guys' opinion on this. It's been a very serious note for us. Maybe next episode we'll have some fun and show off some other slabs that we've got.
Heck yeah.
All right, folks. Take care. Thank you very much. And guys, as always, I hope you have a 9.8 day.
Bye, guys.
See ya.